Good afternoon and welcome, big welcome and big thank you for joining me again this Wednesday for my Photography 101 Live. So hello everybody, and let's say some hello first. I already see some people already in here. So Rob Shoot Photo, hello from Hong Kong, hello from Japan, hello, Ohayo gozaimasu. Ohio? Yep. I'm hoping my Japanese is so rubbish. So, guten Tag, Roman. Yes, thank you for joining me back. Ralph, yes, good day. Julian, hello, everyone. Patrick, yes, from UK. It's really hot in UK today, isn't it? You know, it's so hot. I actually have my portable fan kind of blowing at my face at the moment. It really feels like summer, and I'm very hope that you guys are enjoying the weather wherever you are at the moment as well. Hi, good morning and good afternoon, Terry. Good Terry and Tetsu. 晚上好. Hello guys. Hi. Yes, welcome. It's so cool to see everybody joining my today's chat. Of course, it's all about Olympus, right? If you're new to this channel, my name is Jimmy Cheng. I'm a professional photographer, filmmaker, and an Olympus ambassador. So this channel is all about Michael Four Third, photography in general, filmmaking in general, and of course Olympus. Yes, great, sweet. Good afternoon, David. Yes, how are you guys? Excellent. So like I mentioned, if you guys are not familiar with how I usually conduct my live stream, so to speak, and this is kind of what I would usually do. And I have my kind of little structure here. I will give you some update about the channel itself. Then I'm going to go through today's topic and then Q&A. But because this is live, anything can happen. So if you cannot hear me for whatever reason, or even you can't see me, please do drop me a comment and I should be able to see it, and I will try to fix it live. This is always a dangerous thing to do. You could mess up everything very, very easily. Roman said, did you go out still afraid? Right, okay, this is a channel update now. Right, okay. I would like to go out, and seriously, I really would like to go out, but I haven't been out yet. I haven't done any shoot outside of my house. I'm still conducting everything in the house, even though that we are now able to go out to parks and things like that for recreational purposes. So that means I can go and have a sunbathe. I can go out, take my camera, I can shoot around, providing that I have maintained the social distancing, this 2-meter thing that our UK government has imposed upon us. So it's going to be really strange, and technically I can invite my models out again and shoot, because as long as we keep that 2 meters, which is perfectly fine. I can use 25 or 45 mm lens, right? That should be okay. That's not a problem. But I cannot have any co-presenter, unfortunately, because she usually or whoever the model is usually stand right next to me, and that would no longer happen until the social distancing is relaxed. So I cannot do that, unfortunately. I really would like to do that, trying to get back to my old self, get back to our usual Red 35 photography videos, and this is kind of my thing, to entertain everybody, including myself, because I love having my models shooting, next to me, having a joke about certain things. This is always quite cool. So hi Alan, hi Jura from Thailand, hello. So yeah, technically I can go out, but I haven't really made it myself out yet, unfortunately, but I will do so hopefully in the next couple of weeks. I did on Monday, went out to meet Tracy, because she gave me a hard drive to do some editings, something commercial related, so nothing to do with YouTube. So I did meet up with Tracy, but that's the first meeting we had in 3 months. So imagine that. I haven't actually seen anybody else for 3 months. I mean, we do video chats and stuff like that, but it's nothing better than actually communicate with a real person right in front of you and have this face-to-face, right? I really do miss that. So that's kind of a channel update in a way. Although having said that, I did make a video about stop motion picture. It's really fun. I involved my twins, my son Ashton and my daughter Annabelle, and if you guys are interested in it, it's really super cool. You guys can actually try that at home as well, especially if you have a young family. Is everybody can do it. Grown up, like myself, would be super excited to try out some new skills, right? As well, it's really cool. You can make use of a camera. It's very simple to do. I'm not going to leak too much. Stay tuned for my Sunday release. So my Sunday episode is back on this Sunday 12 p.m. That's the release time. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so say some more hello then. And Camille from Denmark, hello. And Andrew and Peter from New York, and Russ Sallingham from Perth. Excellent, cool stuff. It's good to see you healthy, and the answer for me is color. Right, yeah, I'm really hot. You know, like, it's so weird in the UK, and I'm not sure about you guys and where if you're from. If you are not from the UK, if you live in the States or America, North America in general, and I'm not sure about Australia, you know, you guys can let me know. We don't have air conditioning in the house, so even at the moment, it's not actually that hot. It's only about 25, 27 degrees. I need a fan blowing at my face constantly, and I can hear my computer fan is actually kicking in like really strong at the moment, and this is not really good for everything that's turned on at the moment. So especially you know, you have to process stuff like photos or video. You know, you can overheat your computer very, very easily. I really wish I had air conditioning, but this is not a common thing that we do in the UK. But anyway, okay, that's it. Channel updates finished, so I do have an AAA episode released this Sunday, so stay tuned for that. It's super fun with my family, and I also have my coffee ready for our chat right now. Okay, so let me just get rid of this first of all, the channel update, and I'm gonna get rid of the Q&A. So I'm gonna keep this right here. Maybe I keep it on the side here, on the corner, and maybe on here. Yeah, you guys see that? Okay, cool. Skylar from Taiwan, hello, ni hao. Cool. Time Travel TV, yeah, I'm gonna come back to that later. I heard about what happened in Korea, so this is something new for me as well, but let's talk about it at the end of the stream, right? Okay, so what is your favorite Olympus features? I posted a community post a few days ago on my, of course, on the channel, and then I saw a lot of response straight away, and really brilliant. So I want to go through them just like last week. I'm going to run through all the comments that you have. Leave me in the comment section. So let me just go to that particular page now, so I can see the comment that you have written to me. So before I do that, you know, you guys can also join in. So you haven't left me any comments in my community page. So what is your favorite feature in the Olympus cameras? It doesn't really matter, well, what era, what age of your camera, you know, anything that you think that you have used which is exclusive to Olympus systems or invented by Olympus, that you use it basically every day or every time you pick up a camera. Let me know, you know, which is your favorite features in the Olympus camera, and we're going to go through that just right now. So, okay, strange enough, when I was reading through this comment here, just to give you a heads up, you know, some of you guys are still talking about cameras, right? I'm not specifically asked for camera. I'm talking about features, which is more the inners of the camera itself, not so much about the model like Mark II, Mark III and things like that, or the rumor Pen F2, which I will talk about it later. It's more about the actual features like live composite, pro capture, the IBIS and things like that. So just think about it. What sort of feature you think you use the most, or what's your favorite features on the Olympus camera? That would be awesome. So let me pick up something here, and then so we can start talking about it. So I have Brian actually said to me, and I mentioned this in previous posts, a software mod to add motion detect function. This would make birds unfeathered, right? If I understand your comment correctly, you're saying that it's almost like an automated detection system, almost like the I don't know if you guys have Ring alarms, you know, this smart alarm thing, the doorbell thing in your house, is sensing any sort of pixel differences. So this is how you utilize the detection system. So anything that's moving, you're starting to track it. But for that particular thing to work for birds, it means that it will utilize something similar to what the EM1X already have, the smart AI subject detection kind of thing. So like on the EM1X, you have the train, plane, and cars detection, remember? So like as soon as the frame sees a car or train or planes, it will automatically highlight in boxes. So technically, it is working, but they just don't have the in birds yet. So I guess this is something that, you know, if Olympus finally decided to add this particular feature into the M1X to expand its profile, I think that would be pretty cool, right? I think it'll be good. It'll be really good. So let's talk about the next one here. So Olympus adds all astro tracker features like the Pentax. Right, I think they're getting there. Right, now they have the Starry Sky AF, which is, I think, is really cool. I don't do astrophotography as such, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of you guys are starting to get into it. In London, especially, we have a lot of light pollution, so it's not really easy for me to do any sort of astrophotography. Is very, very difficult to do. And so let's. I think that Olympus in general will probably improve on the Starry Sky AF and incorporate features that's similar to what Pentax is offering at the moment. So you may just have to stay tuned for it. I'm pretty sure this may come very, very soon. And then third, Valley. Focus stacking is great. And yes, I think you bang on there. I know a lot of macro photographers who are really, really into focus stacking, especially the in-camera features. So you can do photo stacking in camera, which is fantastic. But of course, if you want to do some minor adjustments and fine tune or very finite adjustment to make sure that you can max out everything you get there, you still probably want to do it in post-production, like you put the photo stacking in Photoshop or in other photo editing software. However, you know, they have the feature in camera now, especially the M1 Mark III and the M1X has increased the number of photos you can stack in camera, which is actually fantastic. So you can actually get very quick and brilliant results right in the camera. So this is fantastic. So that is really cool, and I love that. I love that. Let's see. And now, okay, someone mentioned about better EVF. Okay. Right, this can be a little bit of a debate here, and I know many of us actually did talk about the EVF for many years, not months and years, and even like the latest M1 Mark III, the M1X, we were expecting better EVF, you know, really for a long time now. Olympus hasn't really upgraded the EVF, and I'm still hoping to see a upgraded EVF in the next coming camera, whether it's going to be the EM1X2 or the whatever Pen F2. If it is rumor, you know, I'm hoping that we'll see something different. You just never know. You know, you may see something better in the next generation, but at the moment, as it stands, all the current camera have the similar EVF as they did about 2 to 3 years ago. You know, I could say it's a little bit disappointing, but at the same time, I'm not complaining either because it works. The refresh rate is actually really good, especially on the M1X. I love the 120 Hertz refresh rate. It's by far the smoothest experience you can get from an EVF. It may not have the contrast from a OLED EVF, for instance, nor the what do you call it, the resolution from, you know, some of the other rival cameras, but it's still very pleasing to look at. It's still bright and detailed enough for me to you know, do anything that I'm doing. So I can see all my sample photos I've done in all my reviews and things so that I can still take my pictures, and that's the most important thing, right? And also the refresh rate does help a lot if you do shoot a lot of motion tracking, things like that. So because the faster the refresh rate on the EVF, the better you can track them, because you're not losing sight of it, and there's minimum delay. And this is one of the things about the EM1X EVF, even though it may seem a little bit, you know, about the same as the EM1 Mark II or other cameras before that, but in fact, it is actually better. You just have to look for it to see it yourself. And let's see what other things I have now. So I'm going to stop at EVF here. I'm going to jump back to some of the comments that you're making right now, so I'm not losing track of it, because I know that the comments can get a little bit jam-packed later on. So let's go back to here to see what is your comment right here. So let's see. Right, Ralph. Straight away, let me just pick you up from here. And you mentioned about live composite. Yes, and I think Roman, I know you're still here. And thank you for sending me some of your photos. I'm going to bring one up. And this is one of Roman's photo that he took in an iPad. I think it is a very, very cool features. Like I mentioned, I'm not a landscape photographer nor a cityscape photographer. It is a very fun, I'm actually just saying fun feature. It's also very useful, very fantastic features to have on the camera. And let me tell you now, before I moved into Olympus, I can almost say that I'd never ever take any night photograph, even though I have a tripod. I tried a couple of times, but not really taking anything. But now, Olympus has the amazing live composite and live bulb features that allowing you to see everything builds up live on the back of the screen. It makes all the guesswork completely disappear, it's gone. You can see and judge exactly what sort of exposure you want to have. And with live composite, you don't even have to worry about overexposing your shot. If you want to take like a 5 or 30-minute shot, you don't have to worry about it, because it will never ever overexpose your shot. This is cool. I love it, and I really love these features here. And I think one of the essence of Olympus is that they always trying to make photography fun for photographer, and also affordable as well, which is another thing I did mention multiple times in my previous videos. Olympus really did a great job of making sure that everyone, whether you're an experienced amateur or you're a professional or you're just a beginner, you can all enjoy all these fantastic features that you can take, like photographs like this, like just a click of a button. All you need to do is just enable live composite and watch everything built in the back of the screen. How amazing is that? I really totally in love with live com. So Ralph, you're right on my street there. I love these features a lot. And Roman as well, of course, you sent me the photo to justify these features and how useful it is. And let's see another things here. And Skylar, you are talking about, yes, first two things here. I'm going to bring up your comment here. And Olympus image stabilization is second to none. Yes, you're quite right there. I don't think anybody in the market at the moment can compete with Olympus in terms of image stabilization. Right, you don't have to believe me, and I have insider information talking about the whole thing, about the IBIS stuff. Panasonic, you might think that their Micro Four Thirds, so their image stabilization system is as good as the Olympus system. No, they're not. Not because I'm an Olympus ambassador. I'm not trying to sell you Olympus gears, but I know Olympus invented the IBIS, full stop. They invented it, and they always develop almost 1 to 2 generations ahead of everybody else. And because they have patented the actual IBIS, so everybody else, if they're using similar system, they may have to license from Olympus, and that means they probably using a generation older compared to Olympus. So for instance, the GH5 and G9 IBIS could be a generation behind Olympus, even though they may have similar figures, but you see what I mean. But let's talk about the M1X and the M1 Mark III. The stabilization really is something else. 6.5 stop, just in body. With the Sync IS, you can go up to 7.5 stop, which is actually just sick. It is really dope, and I love that. And also the Live ND. And Skylar, you haven't tried the Live ND. For me, I actually use it quite a bit. Not so much this year because I have nowhere to shoot. All my jobs been cancelled, so I got nothing to do. But last year, I did use the Live ND on my E1X quite a bit because you can use it for creative purposes. I know the Live ND was kind of originally aiming for lots of landscape photographer. For instance, if you want to do some slightly longer motion blur pictures, like let's say stream or sea and things like that, you can do that now in camera without a physical ND filter. But for me, I always like to incorporate some sort of movement in my frames. Before the Live ND came about, I would have to physically put an ND filters to reduce the light, and then I have to dial the actual shutter speed slow enough to have some degree of motion blur in bright daylight. But now I can actually do it without having to use an ND filters. I couldn't dig up the shot that I actually have for my Live ND. Let's see if I can find it on my phone. And I'm pretty sure I have it on my Instagram somewhere. And I will be able to show you fairly quickly on the screen if I can somehow see it somewhere. And right. Okay, there you go. I found a shot now. So I'm not sure you guys can see this, and let's see if the camera focuses. So this is a live ND shot, and it's cool. I love motion. I love something that creates some sort of textures and with a hint of moment in the shot. And that was a live ND shot. Is something that I really do like for creative purposes. So that's cool. So hello from Uruguay. Cool stuff. Terry, live composite as well. Yes, excellent. You know, I think a lot of people really do like live composite. I think this is really one of the main features that Olympus is known for. So that is really cool. So Jura is talking about IBIS, and yes, you know, I think IBIS is one thing that all modern digital photographers are taking it for granted now, because as of 2018, 2019, you know, almost all the cameras that came out would have some kind of IBIS in the system, right? And now, you know, if you just starting out in photography, you buy any camera on the market now, regardless of brands, whether it's Olympus, Sony, Fuji, anybody, they will have some sort of IBIS, and that means that people may not actually realize that there were cameras without IBIS exist. You know, and they will always basically expect some sort of stabilization in the system. But it is something that I think is really cool, especially coming from the background that I had as a film photographer, using SLR then DSLR. And apart from lens stabilization, we had nothing, right? And lens stabilization, you know, that is not as good as the IBIS, you know, for quite a lot of things actually. And I don't think I can live without IBIS these days, and that is really difficult. And I think that you guys probably feel the same way. If you don't have IBIS now, how much can you film and shoot, right, at the moment? Okay, I like that. And Heart and manual clutch and the pen-pal Bluetooth transfer and IBIS. Right, Heart, you have it right here. Excellent. Manual clutch. Yes, manual clutch. Unfortunately, the manual clutch doesn't appear on all Olympus lenses, but only on the premium lens and also the pro lenses. But it is a great, I'm just trying to show you. And right, oh, I have a gadget to show you guys. This does look like one of those Star Wars fighter jets, right? Things like right. This is a wireless image transmitter. It's really cool, which is actually what I'm going to show you guys in a minute. So yeah, these sort of premium lenses will have some sort of manual clutch, so you can just slide back and you can turn it into a manual focus immediately. So it's actually a very cool system. And I know now that Panasonic has adopted the manual clutch in their full frame mirrorless cameras, so it's still not in the micro four thirds lenses, but they have incorporated the manual clutch in the S1 series, the S lenses or the L mount lenses, so to speak. So yeah, it's a really cool thing. Even though they're focused by wire, but you do have some kind of mechanical feel to it, which is I am totally in love with. Especially if you do use manual focusing a lot, which I do for filming purposes. It's a really cool thing to do. Pen-pal Bluetooth transfers. I use it a little bit, not too much, and so I would not know the extent of usage. Maybe I have to use it more to see whether it's actually good or not. The IBIS, once again, very cool. Okay, let's see if anything else. Exposure information. Exposure information. You mean like the on screen, like all the information that you can see, like the histograms and all the other stuff. Yeah, I guess, I mean, this is part of the EVF thing that we have now. In the past, in DSLRs, all you have is just some sort of LED, like little bars and little blinking lights and things like that to tell you whether it's exposed correctly or not, or whether it's under or overexposed, and all the shutter numbers all there. But now, of course, yes, EVF, you can have all kinds of information overlaid onto the actual frame itself, so you can see, you know, everything. It may be overwhelming at times, and in fact, for majority of my shooting, I actually turn off information altogether. I just want to see the frame. And so I know what you mean. You know, it can be very useful depending on what sort of situation you're in. But for me, when I'm shooting, I actually like to turn off all the information. I just want to view it as a actual scene itself. So let's go to a little bit Camille. Camille here saying it may not be exclusive. And focusing limiter, manual focus clutch, and the AI autofocus in EM1X. Yes, already mentioned a couple of things already, manual focus and also the AI tracking in EM1X. Yes, they are both fantastic stuff here. And the focus limiter, yeah, this is something actually, if you use it, is really good because it will minimize not only the hunting of the camera, because even though, of course, in the EM1 series, it has the hybrid AF already, both contrast and phase detection, but having a focus limiter can dramatically increase the speed of acquiring to the subject. For instance, if you already know how close or how far your subject is going to be standing or whatever, you can limit it. So that means that the system doesn't have to go past that point or go beyond that point to acquire focus, and it will make the range a lot narrower to, you know, obtain focus, so it will increase the speed dramatically. But of course, you know, this cannot be used in a lot of scenarios. You will have to make sure that you have enough experience to employ the focus limiter, but it is a very good tool to use. Very good to bring that up, Camille. That's very, very cool. And it's me, Alex. Yeah. The best feature is that you can take photos, and of course. And like I mentioned about Olympus, you know, they have this thing in the kind of corporate culture. They want to make sure that all the cameras that they produce can be taken photograph like with a big smile on your face, and that's the important thing. So they want to make sure photography is affordable, fun, and also memory. You know, and it's something that they really want to continue this theme, you know, through the entire lineup that they have here. You can see like the ease of use, the ergonomic, and the build quality from Olympus camera. It really is second to none. That's in my opinion, because I have used a lot of different cameras in my career, and I already mentioned to you guys my backgrounds and stuff like that. And I even use really expensive Leica cameras. I mean, of course, they are built like a tank as well, but you know, you are paying 4 or 5 times the price. You know, is, you know, for that sort of build quality, you can actually obtain with the Olympus camera, which is something that I can very proud to say is really good. And so I'm not really buying a cheap camera if you're thinking about, you know, getting Olympus. And a lot of people may also trying to challenge Olympus and saying that, you know, oh, your camera is expensive, but is it? You know, I don't think you can compare apples and oranges once again. You know, like okay, a lot of people are saying, oh, I can buy you know, let's say Canon RP, it's a full frame camera, I can get it for the same price as a EM1 Mark II or E1 Mark III, but you really can't compare between the two. One is a professional camera. Synthesizers, like I mentioned, is a format, so ignore the format, just looking at the features, looking at the build quality, yeah, looking at the entire feature list and also performance that attached to the camera. You cannot compare a professional camera compared to a, let's say, a consumer camera. It's incomparable. So like, you really can't say that, oh, you know, it's the same price. You know, why would I want to get an Olympus? Olympus is overpriced and da-di-da-di-da. You know, it's not like that. It's really difficult to compare two things that are actually different in terms of category. And I can easily say the same thing with cars, for instance. And I mean, you have really cheap cars and expensive cars, and you know, you can't really compare them. But depending on what sort of thing you are doing, for instance, there's nothing you can compare. Okay, cool. Let's move on to the next one here. And Hard actually say that the focus peaking, yes. I don't know how many of you actually use focus peaking for menu focusing. I do use it quite a bit, even though I still, for safety's sake, I still do punching, like magnify, to get into the actual point of focus or in a point of interest, to make sure that it's pin sharp. That's especially critical for filming, because I mean, sometimes I do get really close and I want to make sure that the bits I want to focus is in focus. Because a lot of people make mistake in that the Micro Four Thirds in general, not just Olympus, that the depth of field is just not shallow enough, but it is very shallow depending on the distance that you're using or what sort of lenses you use. If you use the 1.2 lenses like the 45 and the 25, it can be quite shallow if you get a little bit closer to the subject. So you just have to be careful that you're actually aiming at the correct point for focus. Otherwise, your picture will look a little bit odd, and like having the having the nose focus but not the eye, or vice versa, whatever. It may look a little bit odd. So just be careful of that. So let's go into the next one here, and live composite, and Raspberry has no morals. Portability. Oh, something popped up. Portability. Andrew, thank you for mentioning about portability. Well, this may be a feature, but I think it's more to do with the actual format itself. So I don't think it's a software thing or something that I'm implying in my title here, but portability is definitely very important for Micro Four Thirds system. This is what it is for. Like myself, one of the main reasons that pushed me into Micro Four Thirds is because of portability. Like I said so many times now, I don't have to carry like suitcases or trolleys of equipment. I have my backpack only. So this is a major difference from switching from full frame to Micro Four Thirds platform. So it's the main attraction for me. So this is really something to shout about. Yes, thank you, Andrew, for mentioning about portability. I think it's really cool. Ralph, okay, interesting. Right, this is okay. Remember, my post did say that not only I'll talk about your favorite features, but also what would you like to see new from Olympus in the future. So Ralph mentioned here would like slow-mo at 180 frames per second. Yes, me too. I would like that too, Ralph. And don't worry. I like I mentioned that I'm an Olympus ambassador, so I will relate messages to Olympus based on the usage response and things like that. So I already told them a lot of stuff that from you guys last week. This week, of course, I'm gonna do the same thing. And this slow motion thing, yes, I totally agree. I actually requested myself as well. I would like to see not only 120 frames per second, but 240 frames per second in 1080. And in 4K, I would like to see at least 60, and then if there is any chance, maybe 120 frames per second. I really do believe that the EM1X in the EM1 Mark III especially, these two cameras are fully capable of having 4K 60, very sure. And but whether they will implement it or not, and there's something else depending on, obviously the corporate management decision, whether they will need that for, whatever they're doing in terms of marketing. Because the Olympus at this moment in time is still very much photography oriented. So it's not so much of filmmaking, even though that I use it exclusively for all my film projects, including commercial pay jobs. So, but I would like to see more features like that. Yes, slow motion is definitely on my list. So let's see. IPS, okay, IPS better than OLED for true color. Is that correct? Right, technically yes, but then I would also want to highlight to you guys that I don't think you have to get bogged down to the technical differences between IPS, OLED, LCD, whatever. You don't have to worry too much, because ultimately you need to make sure whoever calibrate the EVF is good enough. And most of the EVFs from all manufacturers should be good enough for general use. That is why a lot of the time when you see the pro cameras, the EVF are specially tuned, and then they make sure the color profile is correct to making sure it's true to life. It's really hard to tell, to be honest, unless you switch from one EVF to another, and also you need to be an expert to tell the difference in terms of colors. So most of the time you probably won't be able to tell at all, and so you don't have to worry about that. And in terms of true color or not, and like I said, as long as I can take picture, it shows the information, I can judge on the exposure. Colors, I always do it in post anyway, because I shoot in RAW, so I'm not too bothered about the actual thing. But of course, if it's completely shifted from the reality, that's totally different. But in most cases, I would say 99.9% of the cases, all the EVFs that you see these days are pretty accurate. So you don't have to worry about that. So yeah, that's cool to mention. So, Taru, and my favorite Olympus feature is lightweight, small size, weatherproof, and mobility. Is this called feature? Yes, it is called features, and that is, yeah, that is, you are just hit the nail. Yes, Olympus in the Micro Four Thirds is all about lightweight, small size, weatherproof. And you guys probably know by now if you are a Olympus user. Olympus, not only that they have one of the best built bodies in the market, but they also have one of the best weather sealed body as well. The likes of the latest EM1 Mark III, the EM5 Mark III, the EM1X, these three bodies really is something. Especially, and I still have to say, the EM1X, you can take it to shower. And I'm not really joking, yeah. A couple of times it got dirty, and I literally pour water. I use a toothbrush to brush it off all the dirt and stuff like that, and I can run waters through it. And it's as good as that. And like I'm using it to film right now. I'm actually using the EM1X to film this live stream, and it's really, really something. And it's I don't know how to describe it anymore. It's almost you can swim with it, and that's how good it is. And so if you are a photographer, adventurous photographer who really need to go into like a forest or something really trenches, humid, hostile environment. If you want a camera that is reliable, that can perform in that sort of situation and condition, EM1X, it is your camera. I know the EM1 Mark III is really good, but I think the EM1X still outperforms the EM1 Mark III in terms of weather sealness and the ruggedness, and you can't beat that. This thing, it is a tank. You can't destroy it. It's the G-Shock in the camera world, and it's amazing. Right, okay, and okay, I'm gonna just keep all that. And you forgot about stabilization. Yes, IBIS already mentioned about that. So let's see here. I had Olympus prepare for the 1.4 series lenses. Time travel TV, I'm not entirely sure. I know they have a roadmap, and everybody knows about the roadmap already. I don't know if they are going to prepare a 1.4 series, if they already have a 1.2 series. I mean, this is obviously speaking from experience and also through speculation. I have no information about 1.4. And I know they're producing a f4 series of lenses as already been proven. The first one came out is the 12-45 f4 Pro, so that is a cool lens. I know a lot of you guys not so fond about that lens, but I think personally it's a very cool addition to the entire lineup, because the f4 Pro lens is really for those people who truly appreciate or prioritize lightweight over anything else. Because if you are primarily doing cityscape and landscape photography, you really rarely using 2.8. I mean, if your astro is different, but then if you're generally just hiking, do a lot of landscape photography, you need everything in focus. How often would you use 2.8, right? No, none. You probably have to stop down to f8 anyway. So at least f4 lenses would mean a big things for them, because it's super light, it's small. It means that your bag will get even lighter. So if your priority is portability, mobilities, and also having the same sort of pro optics and also weather sealness, these f4 Pro lenses should serve the purpose really, really well. So I can see the market there, and this market does exist. Like my review when I do the 12-45 f4 Pro, I did mention that this lens has its market, because in history terms, you can see Canon and Nikon also had the f4 series of lenses, so they already have it. So I'm really happy that Olympus does it as well, because Panasonic's not doing it, and then it's not there yet, so at least. So Olympus is really brave enough to actually tap into this market, and making sure that people who enjoy landscape photography really prioritizing lightweight portability to get these sort of lenses. And I'm really looking forward to the rest of the series, although it's not confirmed. In the rumors, they're going to do an 7-14 f4 and also equivalent 40-150 f4. Focal length may actually be different, but they will have an f4 version of these lenses. So that would be really awesome, right? I can't wait to see it. Really don't. I mean, I really want to see it. Okay, let's see who else is here. And Roman, try and handheld 2.5. Oh, right, Roman. Yeah, I know. You know what? Yeah, if Trevor is here, Trevor is the But I think 3 weeks ago, I did a IBIS challenge, and some of you guys participated, and you showed me how long you can handheld a photograph. Trevor so far beats everybody out. He has a, if I remember correctly, 20-second handheld shot. Yeah, I'm not joking. I barely get past the 6-second mark, you know, and it's really difficult. I don't know how he managed that. He wasn't lying, because I did look at his exit data, and you know, how stable his hand is, I have no idea. But Trevor, you beat everybody else I've seen so far. 20-second handheld, whew, is something else. Ira, focus bracketing and focus stacking has been a big deal for me. Yeah, of course, and I already told you about this focus stacking, especially for macro photographer, is really a godsend. So you can do everything in camera. Of course, you can still do it in post, but it's really cool. And focus bracketing is also really cool as well. And when you're shooting up close to certain things, especially macro photography, making sure you can pinpoint that focus. If you just missed it, you can have the ability to just kind of bracket it, making sure you can track it back a little bit to make sure that the point of interest is pin sharp. This ability is really a lifesaver for many photographers. So thank you, Ara, for actually mentioning it. It's really cool. So let's see other things here. And Rob, and yeah, forgot to send me the folder. Never mind, that's okay. Not at all, no problem. And let's see, Carrie. Hello, Carrie. And you care about lightweight and more. Yep, like I mentioned, Olympus is known for it. And just look at the size of the EM5 Mark III. I think this is still kind of my favorite travel and also street tool. You know, it really is something. Of course, you know, I still love my Pen F. Of course, you know, you can never replace my Pen F. That is my favorite camera. And so the EM5 is always has something in my place, because I have the Mark 1, the Mark 2, and now the Mark 3. It is a fantastic camera here, and yeah, if you like the styling, if you like being lightweight and yet capable, the EM5 Mark 3 really is a camera you should try. Really should try. And let's see what else I hear. Julian, hello. Right, when we'll be able to download RAW on the application OI Share is okay. It definitely needs an update. Use it quite often. I believe you can actually download RAW now from the OI Share app, from the actual camera. So long that your smartphone actually supports it. I know my iOS, the Apple iPhone actually supports the RAW, so it will download the RAW from the camera through the OI Share web, and you can adjust it and edit it actually in the app itself, and then export it through as a JPEG. So yeah, I think the features is already there. I know the OI Share possibly need an overhaul. The UI I mean, to me, yeah, I do kind of agree. You know, it's a little bit dated. It needs a little bit updating, and also I can see the potential is being there. This is interesting, right? Okay, I need to talk about this. I was gonna reserve it for next. Let me just make it bigger again so everybody can see. Right. Okay. So I actually want to talk about this in my next talk, but I might as well just mention it here now, because otherwise it's going to be a little bit dated, the news. So Canon had just recently decided to update the app of the Canon system. So what it now allows you to do is to use the Canon camera as a webcam without having to use a capture card. Right, remember I told you about all the streaming stuff that I've been doing right now, and like using the EM1X, for instance, to stream. I will need a capture card to basically transcode the video HDMI signal from the camera to my computer, so my computer can, you know, show it to you basically. So you think about it. All the latest camera from 2018 onward, you see a lot of cameras has USB-C port, which is actually fast enough to do direct data transfer for video signals. So I don't know why no one else had tapped into that. Right, Canon's latest software does enable that feature, but it's still lagging a little bit. The video signal is not as smooth as, but I'm pretty sure you can refine it over time. Do some firmware update, do some software update. It will iron it out. So this is a new thing. I know, like since the COVID-19, the pandemic is around us. More and more people are getting into streaming and live videoing and things like that. And capture cards like these one here are they are like gold dust. You know, you can't get them anywhere. They're sold out almost everywhere in the world. So the demand from getting one of these capture cards is so high. So while the camera is actually capable of outputting the live video signal through USB-C, why don't you just use that? And all you need to do is to enable your app to receive the signal and then transfer it over via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth and things like that. So this is something that is interesting. I think it's innovative and make use of the technology that is already available on the cameras. So I would like to see Olympus or any other manufacturers to do similar things, and they will open up a brand new avenues for, you know, people who like me, who like to do streaming a lot, and then things like that. It would just be cool, right? And even if you don't do streaming yet, and a lot of you guys will use OI Share as a remote control. I'm pretty sure you guys done it, and it will make everything a lot easier. You can capture live videos, let's say, you know, from the camera to your smartphone straight up. You can share out immediately with the quality coming out from the Olympus camera sensors. That will be amazing, right? So yes, I think that too. OI Share needs to be updated. I said it, right? I said it. Damn it. I might get 5 from Olympus. Okay, and Paul, hello there. Hi from Hampshire. And you love the manual clutch. Excellent and elegant switch indeed. I mean, like I mentioned so many times already, manual clutch is a cool thing to do, especially if you do use manual focusing. I know it's still focused by wire, but lucky the implementation from Olympus is so good that it feels almost like a proper old school manual lens, and I love it to bits. And yeah, nothing really can come close to it because there are actually nobody else does it. Apart from that, Panasonic now use the same system on their L mount lenses for the full frame S1 S1 series cameras, but it's still not really available or widely available everywhere else in the camera market. Olympus is really known for it, so that's why a lot of the Micro Four Thirds filmmaker actually use Olympus lenses for that very reason, because the manual focusing clutch is so good. Cool. I don't know why I can't talk now. Maybe I need a coffee. I do have one right here. The Bluetooth, Roman say the Bluetooth is a little bit slow. Right. Yes, in fact, this is something that, you know, is probably get a little bit techy now. And unfortunately, I think the Bluetooth in all the Olympus gears is not the latest specification. Because if you're using the Bluetooth 6 or anything that is more recent, the transfer speed is actually a lot quicker than the older generations. And unfortunately, I think the Bluetooth on all the Olympus cameras is actually 4.1 or 4 or version 4, so it's actually quite old. And I would like to see that improved as well. And in terms of technical specifications and also feature-wise, if the Bluetooth can be improved, and it will make everything way better, you know, in terms of transfer speed, and also like the connectivity, for instance, it will be way quicker. It's almost like instant thing, so that will be really cool as well. So let's go on and see. Too over toy. Yeah, you talk about the raw photo, that's fine. Victor just joined. For me, Olympus system where get more features per bucks. Before I get the M1 II, I looked at the Nikon crop, and just on the D500, the first time introduced USB 3 connections. Yeah, I mean, I think it is true that if you're really looking at the number of features in the camera, and Olympus is really one of those cameras that has so many features packed into a little tiny body, especially for their price. You know, you got it quite right there. Like the even the entry level EM10 Mark III that I have right here, it has probably more features than a lot of the medium level DSLRs and crop sensor and mirrorless cameras, because it's actually quite amazing, these things. I know there are a lot of manual features not actually in there, but the actual automations like livecom, these sort of things, are actually in this camera. So it's really something, right? And also stabilization is all there. So everything's in that little body for that sort of price, like £400, really good. So let's go on. And yeah, you talk about IBIS, and that's cool. Okay, Wolf. There you go. Wolf Take Video said the old Tamron 7-20 2.8 has the manual clutch system. In fact, I can go one better than you. I have a very old Tokina and 28 to 70 zoom lens for the film camera. It also had the manual clutch as well. So it is not new. But I have to say that though, the 28 to 70 2.8 lens that I had, the manual clutch is actually proper manual. So when you actually slide back the focusing ring, it will engage or click into gear, so to speak, into the manual focusing mechanism within the lens. So it's not focused by wire, unlike what we have in the Olympus lenses these days. I'm not entirely sure the Tamron 70 to 20 200 has the same thing like my old Tokina lens, but if it's a very old generation, it's probably the same sort of manual clutch, which is actually engaging the internal focusing mechanism to have a proper manual focus. That way, well, for that sort of full frame lenses, you have the space to play with. For Micro Four Thirds, however, because the lens is actually a little bit smaller, and that's why the focusing by wire option is there to ensure they can keep the size as small as possible. They can actually engage many focus if they really want to, but the gearing, the clutches and everything will make the whole lens body, the barrel itself, a lot thicker. So I don't think they want to do that. They're just trying to keep everything as small as possible. But I think the Olympus implementation is actually not bad at all. Because a lot of you guys obviously like it, and I personally like it too. So I think it's actually a very cool thing. So Julian and nope. Okay, what's coming? What's coming in the future of Olympus, guys? You have any answers? Well, I know a lot is coming, and I know a lot exciting stuff are coming, but I'm not allowed to say anything because of my position right here at the moment. I would not be able to discuss anything in detail, but I know I'm excited about everything that is coming in the next 12 months. So it's really something that I'm looking forward to, especially like I mentioned, I'm already looking forward to these bees. I still have this on my program. I left it from last week. Didn't erase that. These bees is still like, oh, my thing, and I cannot wait to grab hold of these bees. I don't know how many of you would like that, and I just want to have it. I'm not joking. And right, okay. Hart, you talk about the Olympus workspace is free. Yes, and I think like all the camera manufacturers out there, they all have their own kind of editing software. Olympus, actually, the workspace software is probably, to me at least, by far one of the best features and also best implementation among all of them. Okay, Canon has their own software, Nikon has them, and then like Fuji, they all have some sort of software, but Olympus is actually not bad at all. But you still can't compete with the commercial editing software like Lightroom, all the other stuff that Capture One, for instance. You still can't really quite compete to that level. Because Olympus is not a software house, so like it's glad that they actually give you that software free of charge, because it's actually very powerful software. It's just a little bit slow. So for professional use like myself, I cannot use that for my job because it's just not speedy enough for me to turn around jobs quick enough. So I still use Lightroom and other software to do my work just because of the speed alone. I'm not saying that the workspace is bad, because it's actually pretty darn good. You've probably seen Peter Forsgard, maybe Robin Wong really talked about the software. I don't want to go back to the details out, and I have used it quite a bit, but then it's just really not for me. I did use it to compile raw images from new unreleased model, because that's a software that actually allows me to do it. The Lightroom, they don't have the profile for all the new cameras, so it will be, I can only see JPEGs, I can't really see raw, but the Olympus workspace does allow you to interpret all the Olympus raw files, so that is really good. So I do use it, so that's the speed issue that I have with that particular software. And Gerard, Okay, let's see, you're asking me a question. Could it be possible for Olympus to update the 12 f2 to something more faster? Right. I love the Olympus 12mm f2. I have it right here, and I'm also using one that's filming on me right now. I love this lens because of the size, and it's just really sexy looking. You know, if you put it on the EM5 Mark III, the pen out, it just looks the best. You know, I cannot really argue about how good it looks. However, there are rumors for many years now, maybe 2 or 3 years now, ever since that Panasonic released that 12mm f1.4 Panasonic Leica Lumix thing. You know, the name is so long, and it is a good lens, but it's huge. I don't know if you've seen that lens, you know, and the 12mm 1.4 from Panasonic Leica is massive. It's bigger than a 45mm 1.2 from Olympus. So it's heavy, it's just huge, it's big, so it's nice. But I did mention, I think from my last week's stream or the week before, that particular lens, it's good and bad at the same time. I already mentioned about the bad points. It's big, it's huge, it's heavy, but also the when you shoot wide open at 1.4, the edge sharpness is not there. It's really soft on the corners and also has fringing, which is something that I really don't like. This is something I have to praise about Olympus optics as well. You know, a lot of the lenses, and especially the premium and the pro lenses, is very well corrected optically. So you really rarely need to use software to correct any purple fringing, for instance, in post. So you don't have to do that. It's already corrected optically. That means they are designed and made well. That's said enough. But going back to your thing here, and will Olympus produce a faster version? Maybe, because it had been rumored for quite some time now. I would like to see it, because if they do have one, I probably will get it, because I do use the 12mm a lot. And if they have a 1.2 version, a pro version, whew, that will be something, right? Would you buy it? Would any of you buy it? And if the Olympus have the 12mm 1.2 Pro, I think I would too. Okay, and let's see. And yep, Hart already said it. Same thing what I said about the Panasonic Leica 12mm 1.4. It's a humongous lens, that thing. So if Olympus ever going to produce one, I think the only challenge would be the size and weight. So if they do one, it won't be small. It won't be as small as the current f2 lens, that's for sure. It will be more in line with the size of the 17-25 to 45 1.2 Pro, maybe even a little bit bigger, because it needs the front element to be wide enough to see everything. So you just have to be sure that you're ready for it. Okay. Oh yeah, this is good. Excellent. I finally someone mentioned something. Right. Excellent. Thank you, Plateau. And right. Excellent. Highlight and shadow warning and live composite. Right. Warning. Yes. Very good. I don't know any of you guys actually understand what Plateau is trying to say here. You know, I'm hoping that I could show you, because my EM5 just ran out of battery and I don't have my second camera here. But if you see the histogram on the back of the screen, you see that the histogram on the either side, the left and right, yeah. If it's overexposed, you see a red line popping up on the right hand side of the histogram. If it's underexposed to the point that it's too dark to retain any information, you have another red line kind of popping up on the left hand side of the histogram. That's the warning saying that you lose information. So whether it's going to be a highlight or the shadow. So this is really, really important. So I know a lot of you guys, we talked about it before. I know pretty sure that all the other YouTubers has talked about, like Forscott or Robin's already talked about shoot to the right, expose to the right, that sort of strategy that we use in lower light situation. Right, make sure that you don't see these red lines, because once you see them, you're losing information and you will not be able to get them back. Full stop, because they are clipped. Once it's clipped, and then it's going to be pure white or pure black, and you won't be able to see anything whatsoever. So it's very good that the Olympus have this highlight shadow warning without having to use what we call in filming terms using zebra. You know, this kind of line shadowy showing on the screen. They also basically doing the same thing, telling you exactly which bit is overblown and clipped, so you won't be able to see any information. So histogram having the highlight and shadow warning is extremely useful, especially in photography, that you want to maintain all the dynamic range and want to see all the detail from the bright side to the darker side. This is amazing, really good. And this also will tell you that whether you will need to use a gradual ND filters or whether you need to do multiple exposure stacking or bracketing. And this is, yeah, immensely useful. Thank you, Plato, for actually mentioning this. This is fantastic. And George, from New England. Hello, hi George Bacon. It's good to see you here. David, yes, David from Virginia. Nice to you. Welcome back. Nice to see some familiar faces back here. That's fantastic, right? That's cool. And let's see what else in here. Yeah, Roman actually said that the EM10 Mark II is almost a professional camera for €250. Right, like I actually mentioned, or said it so many times, Olympus actually quite good in terms of giving you a lot of pro features in the cheaper cameras. The only thing that really differentiates between the lower end camera to the pro level camera is usually the few things like the weather sealness, the ruggedness, the actual build itself, and perhaps the shutter actuation life. You know, if you don't use electronic shutter, or silent mode, that's what they call it. The actual shutter do have a life, and like most of the mechanical SLR, DSLRs, you know, most of the actual shutter have, let's say, 150,000 actuation. So like once you've gone past that, I mean, it may still work, but there's no definitive answer to how long it will last. But that will be the limit that the manufacturer are aiming to hit minimum for that sort of durability. So this is kind of things that usually separate between the pro level camera and the lower end consumer level cameras. But apart from features, they're almost actually about the same thing. You may not be able to do certain things like a manual override of the ISO, or you know, certain things and that you like to manually do on the lower end cameras, but overall they are there. I mean, you know, for any capable photographer, you can easily shoot fantastic photo with the EM10. You know, right? You know, you guys use these things, you probably can produce really stunning work. You don't need EM1X or EM1 Mark III or EM1 Mark III, for instance. They're all capable, right? All the cameras here in the Olympus lineup are actually very good. Yeah, of course, the EM10 has 16 megapixel compared to 20 on the latest crop of the cameras, but that's besides the point. There's more of the amount of information that you can have for printing bigger or not. So, but in terms of features, yeah, you're quite right there. Very much so. Ralph Ralph's actually saying Olympus is a Swiss Army knife, and yeah, actually it wouldn't be a wrong metaphor, you know, to use. I think that the Olympus cameras does have enough features to do a lot of things, not good, but actually extremely well. For instance, you know, you can, and I'm not going to talk about photography because you all know that Olympus is really good with photography, right? All the tracking stuff, all the AF stuff, you know, is especially for bird and wildlife photography, is really amazing. So they have the optics to go with it as well. But like other things, like just generalist, if you want to do, for instance, a bit of videoing on top of the photography. So even though it may not have the same amount of customizations or flexibility compared to some other more dedicated video cameras out there, like the Panasonic GH series, or you know, other cameras, but it's good enough. It's more than good enough to produce really good work. I mean, I've showed you a couple examples from my videos that I've done in the past for my pay clients. You know, they are absolutely stunning, and you can really create a lot of good stuff from it. And I didn't really need anything expensive. I didn't need to go switch to you know, Blackmagic or all the other stuff that will give me immensely more complicated menu systems and features and customization. You know, all I want, just like anybody else like you, want to capture that moment and also tell the story. You know, and that, I think Olympus camera is really good at that. You know, it's so simple. You know, just like their photography features is so easy to employ. Click a button, a couple of settings, adjustment here and there, you're good to go. And that's really awesome. And I like that. I really like that for Olympus. So peaking is good, and magnification, and Okay, hard, and I would like to address a little bit as on what you said in here. Magnification in EM5 Mark 1 was a hit and miss. I do agree, because the Mark 1 was really the kind of first attempt into getting a little bit serious with the mirrorless camera. But I can't quite remember now, because I sold my EM5 Mark 1 already, so all I had was the Mark 2 and the Mark 3. From what I can tell now, all the latest cameras since the Mark 2, the magnification is actually very good now, and I don't think I've ever seen it missed if I do use magnify. And the peaking, however, I mean, I do see that the peaking may not be 100%, and that is exactly why I just said, you know, when I use peaking, I use magnify at the same time. I just want to make sure that I hit that focus, and because without magnifying, if I just relying on the peaking assist, the red line or whatever color you set it to, it's not 100% all the time. So you just have to be mindful about the whole peaking thing, and then for me, I just want to double confirm using magnify at the same time, just make sure it is absolutely bang on. And Camille also set it 4K 60. Yeah, hit there. And Roman actually said Casio has a compact camera that shoots 240 frames per second. Well, look, the iPhone can do 240, and that says it. You know, the thing is, it is there, and also it is also easier to do it with a compact camera because the sensor is smaller, and you don't need a lot of processing power to support the 240 frames per second. The bigger the sensor, the more difficult it is, and that is why exactly why a couple of weeks ago I talked about the Canon R5, and I talked about how amazing potentially technologically it could be, because it has no internal fan, it can do 4K 120 frames per second, at least it's rumored anyway, and internally in a full frame camera. So the processor has to be like a supercomputer chip to be able to do that. So it is actually coming, and hoping that one day, sooner or later, Olympus is going to employ the similar sort of technology and finally able to support that features in higher frame rate on video terms. So that will be really, really cool, and I'm looking forward to that. That will be something to scream about, right? So yes, let's go to the next one here. Pro capture mode. Camille saying about pro capture, right? Oh, Alan Platt's one's good. Right, okay, pro capture. Yes, I think it's still actually one of the things that not many people use, but they are extremely useful. I'm not entirely sure you've seen some of these bird photographs that people seeing capturing woodpeckers and all the others. It's actually phenomenal, and you use it because human reaction is always slow by comparison, right? And then you just can never capture fast-moving objects like, you know, birds, little insects and things like that. And having pro capture really illuminates that risks. I mean, you may have captured like a few hundred photos in a couple of seconds, but you have that frame in there, so you can actually pick out that perfect frame that you want to capture, and that normally would not be possible with human reactions. So I think pro capture is overlooked in most cases, but only if you need it. Like myself, I actually rarely use pro capture. Personally, I do use it a couple of times, but I think I'm just not that type of photographer to use it, but I can see the potential and also the applications on certain type of photography, and it could be invaluable to those people who use that features. So that would be really, really cool. And Alan, and I think you are kind of hit my thinking as well. You know, we've got a similar sort of desire or wish to have from Olympus. So I'm really, because I got the M1X myself, I'm hoping that I will see the firmware update that will incorporate the similar eye and face detection from the EM1 Mark III. And I'm pretty sure that it will happen, depending on when. So I'm hoping it'll be sooner than later. And something that I'm looking forward to, of course, because I do love the EM1 Mark III feature. I use it for a lot of filmings, and because this facial tracking thing is just so good. And also in terms of photography, these multiple faces detections and the ability to select which face to keep the tracking on is amazing. I don't know if you've tried it, but if you haven't, have a go at it. If you have a line of people there, you see all these faces being highlighted, you can actually scroll through the faces and select which one you want to focus on and continue to track it. This is amazing, and that's really cool. Right, okay, let me go back to my YouTube community pages. Let's see, go through a little bit of comment sections here, because I know some of you guys left some comments which are pretty good as well. Right, this is interesting, but it sounded like more like a sci-fi wish list. So I can't pronounce his name, Kowsey, and right, he or she mentioned that EM5 with a built-in GPS, EM5 with a DC power jack, EM5 with a headphone jack, an app that can automatically upload the images to the cloud as I shoot, ability to use my camera as a webcam without a capture card. We actually talked about a lot of this stuff already, like the iShare app that's being a little bit dated. If we update it, hopefully they can do what Canon is doing at the moment, is to update the app to allow for kind of like a webcam utilities to use your camera without a capture card. So that will be awesome. So in terms of uploading to the cloud automatically, is basically you're talking about wireless tethering, and you can do that with the computer, not so much with an app. I know it sounds good, but it really depending on the, I would say, the ability to upload quick enough using your mobile phone and or cell phone, wherever you are. I know a lot of places don't have the same infrastructure for their mobile technology by means of, even you may have 4G, but the upload speed just may not be quick enough for that to happen, because depending on how many photographs you shoot and how quickly you shoot, and the ability to upload these photos can take a long time. So if you, in an ideal world, if you have like really good upload from 4G signals, and you may be able to do that very easily. Even that, I think, you know, it's technically possible right now to do that. It's just depending on whether you do have the infrastructure to support it. And EM5 have a headphone jack. I can understand that. I think a lot of people do ask for it. I know the EM5 Mark II had the ability to add on the vertical grip that has the headphone jack, so you can monitor the sound externally. They don't have that in the EM5 Mark III, unfortunately. They don't even have that option either. So yeah, I can see the use there. I would like to see that happening, but you can see the compact size of the EM5 Mark III. It just simply don't have enough room here for another jack, unfortunately. You know, it has the kind of the maybe they can remove the remote connection, you know, for the remote photography trigger. Then we can remove or reposition that port and allowing it to become an audio headphone jack. That may be possible. And also DC power jack, that could be different because it needs a mini transformer inside the body, and that's why at this moment in time only the EM1 Mark II and III, the vertical grip, the HLD9 has the DC jack, and also the EM1X has a built-in DC jack because it has the room to incorporate that features. Unfortunately, EM5 is just too small for it, so I don't think that will happen at all. GPS, possible. It has the room at the top of the actual prism housing, so maybe they can do something just similarly to the EM1X. They have that features built into the top prism housing, so that could happen maybe in some point. If you really want it, I could let Olympus know if someone wants to pay for it. I'm pretty sure they might think of something. So you never know, and I would like to see an EM10 Mark III. This is Juan Pablo. You're saying that EM10 Mark IV with a selfie screen like the EPL9. I think that could happen actually. You know what? Because I know at the moment the EM10 Mark III only has a flip screen, so it can only do up and down, so you can't really do complete flip out for selfie or for filming purposes. Let's say if you want to vlog for yourself, you can't really see yourself. That I think could change in the Mark IV. You never know. You really don't know. I mean, I can't say anything at the moment because I do not know whether that's the final specification or when that will come out, for instance. But having said that, you know, I think the update should be imminent. You know, I'm just speculating simply because the EM1 Mark III has been around for about 2.5, 3 years now, almost. So yeah, I think it could be time for an update. I may do a video about the EM10 Mark III. Shall I do that? If you'd like to see it, let me know. I will do one. Okay. Annette Schneider, and you said animal eye AF. Ooh, that sounds fancy. And not sure about you guys about loving animal eye AF. It could be interesting. I don't shoot a lot of pets, but so it would be beyond me. I can't get excited about animal IAF, but I know a lot of people would do because if they photograph a lot of animals, for instance, and so it would be cool. I'm pretty sure that that could happen because I know some companies actually employ or actually put in that as a feature for the camera for animal IAF, or even animal recognition, actually highlighting the entire animal itself. So things are getting kind of weird now. You can focus on a lot of stuff. So I don't know how you can even differentiate or select different mode in the future, because ultimately, if you keep expanding it, what you may end up with is a menu system with a scroll down list of like 30, 40 items. And that means that it's going to be incredibly difficult to select the correct AI tracking features that you want. So it's going to be difficult to keep expanding it, and also at the same time trying to make it easily accessible for a lot of photographers, for instance. So yeah, I'll just wait and see what happens. So Rob, shoot photo, you yeah, I think we talked about it already about the Bluetooth app. And let's see what else in here. George Lee, double native ISO to boost ISO performance, 4K 60, so solid video quality, boost HD performance to 200 to 400 megabit per second. Whew. Well, this is all to do with a lot of the video stuff, and yeah, I wouldn't say no to any of those at all. But don't forget, I think at this moment in time, yes, the bitrate may be just on the low side, but I think it's perfectly okay for a lot of people who are just starting out, for instance, and videoing, filmmaking. If you really be picky, you know, you can always shoot C4K, have a high bit rate, and even more so if you want to shoot clean HDMI, you can use an external recorder to get even higher bit rate. So that is possible. But internally, I actually think that, you know, for majority of the people who are taking movies or recording videos on the Olympus cameras are usually amateurs. At this moment in time, I know Olympus has the desire to improve that eventually for professional use, but that is some way in the future. At this moment in time, I think they're really concentrating on people who are shooting hybrid, for instance, so taking photos and video at the same time, and but not as a dedicated video capturing machines. But having said that, I shoot a lot of commercial job using the EM1X and the EM1 Mark III. It's perfectly capable. The C4K is actually high enough bit rate and enough information for me to work with for now. And so yeah, high bit rate, I would also say yes. You know, I'm really hoping that that will come at some point as well. That would be quite nice for all those video loving folks out there. And Patrick, okay, EM5 Mark III version 2 with full metal body and a flip screen rather than a fully articulated, even better in a Pen F body. Right, who want to vote for a EM5 Mark III version 2 with a metal body? That would be cool. Right? I don't know that would ever happen, but it's quite a nice suggestion there. And also, I don't know about you, I actually like fully articulating screen than a flip out screen, because how many of you actually like this flip out screen? How many of you, compared to a fully articulated screen on basically any other Olympus camera that's current at the moment? And so I used to like the flip out like this, especially if you do a lot of, like, let's say, vertical down shooting. I like that, but as of now, when I do prefer the ultimate flexibility from a fully articulated screen, simply because I shoot video a lot. I also shoot myself a lot, you know, so I need the screen flip out so I can see, and I just like that flexibility. So I don't know, it's give or take, you know, depending on your preference, I guess. But I would prefer articulating. And of course, you mentioned already, better if it's in Pen F body. So like, if the Pen F2 ever comes out, it would be amazing. It would be amazing, right? And I can't wait. Please, come on, Olympus, if you're listening, can you make the Pen F2 a reality? Just not a rumor. Just announce it. Just say it. I'll buy it. whatever the money, just give it to me, man. I just want it. Okay. So Felix Cole said that new sensor with better high ISO performance and EVF, a LCD with higher resolution internal memory storage with Wi-Fi transfer capability. Woo. Okay, right. LCD higher resolution, that's easily done. I think it's possible in the next generation of cameras. Better EVF, quite possibly, because so far Olympus has maintained the same EVF, at least in terms of resolutions and specs, for relatively long time. So I'm pretty sure, but not guarantee, that that would happen in the next generation camera. Especially if you're looking at a timeline at the moment. So I think the next cameras to be updated would be the EM10, because the EM1 just came out, the EM5 just came out late last year, and the EM1X is still in mid-cycle. So I don't think the EM10 would have a better EVF compared to any of the higher end cameras. So that we may have to see until the next generation of EM1X, EM5 or the EM1 to have a better or bigger EVF. So we will see. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I'm not only speculating. I'm not entirely sure. I cannot represent Olympus for that matter. So we'll see, hopefully. And a new sensor. Once again, on the EM10 possibly we'll have a new sensor, because the EM10 is the last camera to have a 16 megapixel on the OMD line at least. So you may see that finally bring it in line with the rest of them to have a 20 megapixel. But whether that is going to be a brand new sensor or going to be a same sensor as the EM5 or the Pen-F, I'm not entirely sure at this moment in time. I'm only speculating that could happen. But in terms of actual technology, once again, you may have to see it in the next EM1X or the EM1 series, because that would be kind of like maybe another 18 months away from now. So we shall see. You never know. I can never tell. And Olympus may surprise me. That would be good, right? It's a good surprise. Always I like a little bit of surprises. And so let's see what else. I know all of you guys, quite a few of you guys talking about 4K 50 and 60 frames per second. That would be cool. I really do. Yes, you guys are right. I do like to see that. And also slow motion. John Carter said something about adding slow motion on the EM1 Mark 1. Right. Remember last week I actually talked about it, and as much as Olympus wants to give you all the new features in older cameras, unfortunately, and this is the fact that a lot of the sensors or the processor from the older cameras simply not beefy enough to take on those new tasks. And this is unfortunate, but this is a true fact, because if you look at the generations in terms of the TruePic processing engine, just look at the EM1X for instance. Right, EM1X has dual TruePic 8 sensor. That is phenomenal, right? It's really cool. One is dedicated for AF, one is dedicated for something else. And but the EM1 Mark III has a TruePic 9 processor, one processor, and it's doing almost exactly the same thing as EM1X dual TruePic 8 processor. That's how much in a technological leap in the later generations. So if you use that as a kind of a comparison, so the EM1 Mark II could potentially be 2 times better than EM1 Mark I. And that means the EM1 Mark III could be 8 times better than EM1 Mark I. So in terms of processing power, you simply cannot compare that. So adding slow motions is one task that eats up a lot of processing resources. So it's just technically impossible to do it. And for instance, Olympus, I don't think they are that stingy. Let's put it that way. They have already developed the technology. They have the features there. They would like to give it to you through a firmware update. But unfortunately, sometimes, because of the technological limits, they simply cannot do it. I'm pretty sure they run tests to make sure that these features are able or not able to be performed in an older processor. I'm pretty sure they've done tests. That's why they will only giving you certain number of features and not all of them in some cases. So this is quite unfortunate. But I think for a lot of EM1 Mark II users, I was pleasantly surprised to see the firmware 3 came out, because the firmware 3 really just give so much new life into the EM1 Mark II body, and in fact it brings it almost bang up to date compared to EM1 Mark III and the EM1X in terms of tracking performances and things like that, because it's just amazing. I mean, all it lacks is obviously, you know, the slow motions like I mentioned, and also the smart face and eye detections that's not there, and I do think that the processor is just not beefy enough to do it. That you need a more powerful processor. So the EM1X potentially should be able to do it because it has a single processor dedicated for AF, so I'm pretty sure through firmware update, the EM1X should see similar performance once it's upgraded to the EM1 Mark III in terms of face and eye tracking performances. So that should be quite interesting, and I'm looking forward to see that. So Mark, rear screen like the Panasonic full frame that combines with tilt and flip rear screen, and we can use it for whatever suits the situation. I think we kind of talked about it a little bit, and yeah, I guess what I kind of understand where you're coming from, and that could be right. And also you said swap the joystick with the lever. I'm not entirely sure. I love the joystick though, you know, I do love the nipple on the EM1X and the EM1 Mark III. It's very cool to use for changing focusing point. I love it, especially filming, because I actually do it live. That's cool. So I don't know if you like that. That would be your preference, but I actually do like the joystick a lot, actually. And Chris Sanzian, and fix the Olympus image track app. Okay. Okay, I don't know about this, so I have to feed that back because I'm not entirely sure how many of you use the the Olympus image tracking app. So basically, if your camera has few sensors like the EM1X or the TUF TG5 and 6 series that has GPS and all the atmospheric pressure sensors in the camera, that will basically have all the information attached to the EXIF data, so you know exactly what sort of condition you're taking when you click the shutter button and that image is captured. So it also tracks the route as well, so you can basically highlight the map exactly where you take those photos. The image tracking app is actually pretty cool if you haven't used one before, but what Christian is actually saying that app, it crashes all the time. I personally don't run it long enough to kind of agree what you just said there, but I'm pretty sure if you say so detailed, you have to read through it in detail to make sure that this message has been passed over to Olympus, and then they will have to fix it. And I think very thank you for highlighting it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to transfer this over to the technical department, and they will have a look at the app and making sure that it won't freeze in the future. So thank you for that. So let's go back to some of you guys online right now, and let's see. Craig, does the Olympus IBIS use spring or magnets to stabilize the image? Ooh, that is technical there. Let me have a look. I have an image. I have an image here, and can you tell whether it's actually using a magnet or spring? I think it's actually a little bit of both, and hugely magnet, and it's actually using magnet a lot more than spring. But I do believe there's some spring elements inside. It's not actually using for kind of overhanging the thing, and they do have certain springs that's just to keep it in the original positions. So but magnet is what is used to stabilize the actual sensor itself. So you know, I'm not a technical guy, so but as far as I know, it's magnets more than spring. The spring is just there to hold the sensor in place and also in position, and the magnet is what is controlling it. So because it's a lot easier to control the strength of the magnification, the actual magnet strength, the polarity of it, so it's a lot easier to control electronically using more accurately using magnets than springs. So I'm pretty sure that is what's behind it. So thank you, Craig. Camille said I like spring. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, Roman did say that something. I remember you mentioned something on my Facebook page, and yes, right. Yeah, how many of you actually use Olympus camera to shoot panoramic photos? The panorama mode on the Olympus camera isn't exactly, I would call it, mind-blowing. It's capable of stitching those photos up relatively nicely, but what the in-camera feature doesn't do is to crop the photo nicely for you. And you know, I think the current you know, smartphones and also some other consumer level compact cameras actually do a better job than the OMD cameras in terms of panorama mode, which is unfortunate. And but like I said, if you're really serious about panoramic photos, and you probably would still do it in post-production anyway, you stitch those photos in post using Photoshop and things like that, you get much higher quality from it. But for convenience sake, for instance, if the camera, let's say the EM5 or the EM10 series, which are aiming for consumer and prosumer level users, they are very likely to export these photos to social media straight away after they're taking a photo. That means a good crop of the panoramic photo should give them an opportunity to share the images straight away. And at this moment in time, because the cropping isn't there or is not good enough, unlikely they are going to export those photos out for sharing, because it's just not very nice. So it's actually a lot better using in your smartphone for that purpose. So yes, I agree, Roman. I think that's something that maybe Olympus should have a look at it, and making sure that the feature is actually enhanced in the future. That would be something, right? Okay, Shay, greetings from Philippines. Hello. And Malcolm, and for me the best feature is that the small OMDs are 2 cameras in one body. You can use them for point and shoot and professional gear. Very good. And yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail as well, as it's very good way of describing the Olympus cameras, and I think they can do a lot of things, just like what you said about being a Swiss Army knife, Ralph. I think that's what you said, and it's like that. That's almost what I feel about Olympus camera. You can do a lot of different things with one body. David Harris, and the live composite, without a doubt. Yes, David, you're mentioning about live composite. It's exactly what we said earlier. It's just fantastic. And right, do you think there will be EM1X Mark II? Right, David, I highly believe that the EM1X Mark II, when it comes out or in the future, would have a dual processor, and I think they're going to stick with this 2 processor thing, only because it's for future proofing. Not only for power, but also for future proofing. Just look at the prime example right now. The EM1X has a dual 2PIC 8, but in terms of processing power, it still can be equivalent to the EM1 Mark III single 2PIC 9 processor. Maybe just a little bit better. I'm not entirely sure in terms of in terms of processing and also resource management, because the EM1X dual processor, one is, like I mentioned, for dedicated AF purposes, and the other one for all the other tasks. While the EM1 Mark III 2PIC 9 processor is for obviously multiple things, so that could be very, very much, the next level up. So when the EM1X Mark II eventually come out, it will have the same thing again. So that means when the 2PIC 10 comes out in EM1 Mark IV, that will be something that they can stay comparatively the same, I guess. I think yeah, a short answer, yes. I think pretty much they would do that. Oh, it's me, Alex. You like a 12 to 35 f2 lens? Well, although we're not talking about gears, but why not? Let's talk about it. So the 12 to 35 f2 lens is, of course, fantastic. It would be good, they would just bring back all these good old memories from the 4/3 era, right? They have all the f2 lenses, which is phenomenal, despite it's being quite a bit, bulky and heavy. But I do like to have an f2 lens, which is really, really good. Even better, they might have a f1.7, just like Panasonic Leica. Right. Okay, let's see, Shay. And I use EM10 Mark III, very nice, really cool for video, and mostly use accessory detail. Yep. Oh, you use a Nikon lens on the EM10 Mark III. That's sweet. That is sweet. That's cool. And well, if you manage to use it, yes, not bad at all. I mean, I used some of my older Leica lenses on the Olympus body through an adapter, and they work perfectly fine. They're really good. But actually, something that I might have to kind of talk to you guys about, because using a full frame lens on a micro four thirds body will bring out all the flaws. Yeah, you heard that right, flaws from the full frame lens. Right, I have a lot of expensive lenses from the full frame era. They look really just sweet and juicy on the full frame system, just like looks amazing. But then when you adapt to the micro four thirds, because of the crop factor, you're magnifying the actual frame. So my used to be super nice Zeiss Distagon 35 f1.4 lens that I could not see a flaw from my full frame Leica. When I attached it to my Olympus, I saw fringing, I saw softness, I saw everything, because things just exploded. And you know, this is something you have to be mindful about this, because a lot of the full frame lenses are tailored for the sensor size, and when you have a thing that basically acts as a magnifying glass, it will expose everything. That having said that, and that also shows you the optics on the Micro Four Thirds platforms is actually, to me, better than the full frame glass, because if you are able to resolve that sort of detail in a small sensor, and that means that you can resolve way higher when it kind of enlarge it to a full frame. And so it kind of worked the other way around, and I think the optics on Micro Four Thirds is actually spectacular. So if you have a good sharp lens like the Olympus 75 1.8, the 45 1.2, the 17 1.2 Pro, these are extremely sharp lenses, and they are just out of this world. Fantastic, cool. Right, and let's continue moving on to see other comments right here. And Burana, talk about lenses again. You want a weather seal premium lenses basically, and I'm pretty sure if they ever going to release a second versions of all these lenses, they may make them weather seal, but you never know. But that would make the lens a little bit bigger. So if they do that, they may have to reduce the aperture to f2 to make it the same size, if that ever happens. But that's exactly what Fujifilm does for their weather seal lenses of the series, exactly. So so we may see it. I don't know whether that will happen at all, but we shall see. Taru, you're saying that I always put the EM5 Mark II in my bag with the 12-40 Pro. Yes, it's a good combination. I have that exact combo in my travel bag, and really good. Although having said that, I don't use the zoom anymore. I use 3 prime lenses in my body, and so in my bag, so I always have slightly faster aperture if I need to shoot a lower light situation. Because I like to do a lot of I would call it the candid stuff on the street, like street photography. So I need the speed more than anything else. So 2.8 I know is great in general, and but for me, I just a little bit more demanding. Just me, you know. I just like to do that. Okay, let's see the next one here. Demonetized. I guess just responding to my earlier comment and remarked. Okay, Julian and right. Okay, I actually use the high-res mode. Oh, talk about high-res mode. I need to show you this picture, right? Right, I know a lot of you guys love the handheld high-res, and I personally am a fan of it as well, but you know the application can be very limited because it doesn't work well with motion. So, but I did use high-res mode to do portrait, so I want to show you an example of it. So there you go. This is what I shot with Zali. You know, that's last year using the EM1X, and this is actually a high-res photo. This is shot with 50 megapixel high-res mode live, and so it's capable of doing it so long that's not windy, so long that your model or your subject stay relatively still. You will be able to achieve high-res mode. So this is a 50 megapixel photo from an Olympus, and which is kind of crazy, right? And but it's doable. It's doable, you know, and not always, but it's definitely doable. So Julian, you also said about the ND fake ND filter, but you know, I actually do think that the live ND is useful, depending on how critical you are about slow motions and motion blur. I personally think that if you are a dedicated or professional long exposure photographer, a proper ND filters will still give you the best results, and that is my take on the ND stuff. But the live ND does give you the convenience to create something more creative, so to speak, because I showed you an example earlier, something that I use quite often for my portrait shoot. So I think that elements cannot be taken away. I think it's really good to have that features in the camera so you can utilize it when you need to. So that is very good. And thank you, Julian. And right, have I tested? Okay, Boba is asking about Sigma lenses. Right, I haven't personally tested side by side with between these three lenses, although I have the latter two. I have the 44 1.2 and the 75 1.8. I don't have the Sigma 56 1.4. I've tested it for my friend. I have used it a little bit, but I haven't really kind of shot enough of it to make the judgment. I know it's a very sharp lens. It's actually very capable and also relatively affordable compared to obviously the other two in the Olympus lineup. But I'm not entirely sure whether they can be compared like for like, because the focal length is actually very different between all three. And but in terms of sharpness, I think they are quite comparable. So it could be a good thing if you're interested in using the 56 1.4. Yeah, I could recommend it. It's actually a very good lens, although I haven't personally done a review on it, but I've used it before and it looks very good. Okay, so Alan, I think 6K for the bees. I'll need a lot of coffee. Yes, by the way, I do have a coffee link here if you want to buy me some coffee. I need more coffee to support me buying that beast of a lens that I showed you earlier. Yes, I want to get these bees. Thank you. And yeah, that would be good. I love that. I just want that. Huba, hello. And let's say, okay, talk about EM10 Mark III and the 45 1.8 lens. You know that Olympus UK is actually running a promotion. So if you're in the UK, if you fancy a new Olympus camera, you can claim the 45mm 1.8 free of charge. So that is quite a good deal at the moment, because that is a spectacular lens, and I really like that. Ooh, really? The Aurora HDR 2018 is now free. Right. Okay, interesting. I do. Well, I did a review on the Aurora HDR way back in 2018 actually, so I still have that software and still registered to the 2018 version. So actually not a bad application. Although I did notice some artificial artifacts from the actual processed photo, so just be mindful about that and just be a little bit careful. I can't exactly remember what I did with the camera with the software, but you can try it out yourself to see whether it's good or not. You can let me know. Okay, so let's see what else here. So Rob, basically, I think I'm backtracking all the comments that you made now. So Rob actually mentioned about the Highland shadow curve. I believe is basically addressing to what I talked about, the warning from the histogram at the back of the screen. I actually think is actually very, very cool. And yeah, if you didn't hear what I said earlier, if you just joined this live chat, I basically talking about the automatic warning on the actual histogram. So you can see a red line on left and right. That means you're overexposed or underexposed or clipping the details. So you're not actually getting any information that you have pure white and pure black from your final photo. So Olympus actually did implement that very, very well, and I do like that. So let's see. The macro ring, right? Boba is talking about the macro ring on the 40 to 152.8. You ordered 10. Oh, you mean the extension? Is the extension ring, right? Okay. Let me know how you get on with those, because I would like to know about them. So I heard good things about them. So you try it and let me know about how you find out the quality. So 6-pack beads is saying I have the EM12. Today I learned that the invariant ISO at 1331 value, which means that raw data is the same for all ISO 200 to 1250 range. Right, okay, yeah, I mean, I think this has been explained so many times from different people out there. The ISO is basically an amplified version of the base ISO. So technically is basically it. And so if you're shooting high ISO, you can actually do that shooting with ISO 200 and just boost it in post. It's just amplifying the signal. So in terms of noise and things like that, it's actually no difference to it. But having said that, you know, and I still trying to use an old school way. If it's higher ISO, it's higher speed, and then I try not to think too much about ISO invariant, and it can get just too too complicated in my brain. You know, all I want is to focus on what I'm capturing. I want to make sure that, you know, I want to capture that moments, the story, you know, the beautiful people that I'm photographing and things like that. So yeah, it's good to learn about it. Don't get me wrong, I think it's really cool to understand it. But for me, I would just look at a scene, I like it, click, capture it. Okay, and okay, the following up question is about EM1.3 and EM1X. No, I don't know the actual technical invariant value for these two cameras. I'm pretty sure it's probably very similar to the EM1.2. It could be, you know, within half a stop difference if there is any. So that could be it. So let's see. One feature I like about Rob is actually saying the one feature I like about the EM10-2 is that low end it is, you can take advantage of UHS-2 cards. A short buffer is more forgivable. Yes, I guess Olympus will have to do something to mark the difference between pro and low end cameras, right? Shorter buffer is one way to do it, and even though it has the UHS-2 card, and I think you're lucky to get UHS-2 in a lower end camera, because not many beginner level cameras would give you a UHS-2 compatible card department. Whether you use it or not is another thing, but I think if you do shoot a lot of video, for instance, a UHS-2 card will definitely help. Not so much about taking, but it's when you go back home and uploading or downloading the photos from your card to your computer. The speed from a UHS-2 card will save you so much time. I'm telling you, if you have a 64 gig card, if you have UHS-1 compared to UHS-3, the difference is night and day. You know, like transferring a whole 64 gig card from a UHS-1 card would take like matters of 5 to 8 minutes for the whole card to be transferred, maybe even longer, 10 minutes. But UHS-3 is basically a couple of minutes, transfer the whole 64 gig, super quick. So if you're really tight on jobs and things like that, you know, UHS-2 card is well worth of an investment if you really want one. And yeah, it's something that I predominantly use, the UHS-2 card, and I have a whole bunch of them just because I shoot a lot, so time is an essence. Like I mentioned, time is money for a professional. I still have UHS-1 from the older era, so I use that for backup. If I run out of cards, I'll use the UHS-1, but they are really mainly for backup purposes. Let's see. Right, I'm getting towards the end now. That's good and great stuff here. Is if anything that I'm missing? Right, I'm trying to read this one here. So maybe they will add a mode in which it would be possible to turn off the screen and leave only the EVF to work. But the EVF I'm not entirely sorry for the mistake, not my native. I don't mind your language, but I'm trying to understand your question. I'm not in. You can actually do that by switching off the screen if you really want to, and vice versa. There is a new menu now that's on the latest firmware update that allows you to kind of adjust to the when or to turn off the EVF, when you turn it on, and also the EVF, the screen itself, and so forth. To me, I actually don't turn on the EVF, the actual LCD. I always switch it off, or just flip it around, just turn it off. I only use the EVF predominantly. I don't worry about the LCD at all, so I just have one thing. I even turn off the auto sensor. I hate the auto sensor. I either have it on or off. I don't like it switch it on and off all the time when I'm close to my eyes and my body. It's just annoying. So I actually switched it off. So I turn off the auto sensor, and that's all I do. But I'm pretty sure you can actually adjust to it in the later cameras. I'm not sure what sort of Olympus camera you have, but I'm pretty sure the EM1 series have that capability to do it. So let's see what others here. Speaking of tilt screen, get the XT100 tilt, which they ditch. Okay, all right then. Right, it's a flip. Oh, quite a few people actually vote for flip screen. Okay, so we've got a split decision here. There are people who are talking about fully articulating. There are people who talk about flip. Okay, so there is a divided opinion from you. So we have two camps here. One is tilt, one is fully articulated. That will be interesting, right? Yeah, but like I said, I actually do like the flip. When I had my original EM5 Mark 1, because it had the flip screen, because I do like, sometimes when I do street photography, I like to actually look down, directly down, and shoot this kind of 90-degree. I like the kind of tilt angle. So the flip screen, have to kind of flip it all the way out and things like that. I know it's just not as nice compared to actual flip screen itself, but for the stuff that I do these days, especially, I'm online a lot, I'm filming myself a lot, I'm doing a lot of filmmaking, a fully articulated screen is a must for my use. And so I would probably, in the ideal world, I'll probably like to do the best of two, maybe what some of you actually earlier suggested, the new Panasonic camera has that sort of flip tilt thing going on. And maybe one of those solutions would be okay, but I guess at this moment in time, from the Olympus cam at least, I still prefer the fully articulated, just because it's just slightly more flexible for my use. So let's go on to another one here, and right, okay. Well, this has come back to what we just talked about earlier, and in terms of resolutions and how big do you print and stuff like that. There are people who like to use high-res mode, and there are people who would like to print big, and there are also people who like to just crop the hell out of everything. And this is why you have different type of photographers out there, and that's also why Olympus give you the option to shoot high-res. It's not essential. In my book, like all my commercial jobs, everything that I do photographically, I just use the native 20 megapixel sensors. I never think that is insufficient in any way. I still print big, I print as big as A1, so it's no problem whatsoever. Yeah, whether printing cheap or expensive, just depending, like, cause I make money from photography, so I print to sell. So it's fine. I do print for my own use. I display at home, things like that. But I only choose the one that I really like. So it's part of the kind of furniture in a way. So it's not bad. You're going to print constantly. I do have printer at home as well. So if I really need to print something like A4, A3 size, I can print it at home. So I don't need to actually go outside to do it. But they are expensive to print, and that's why not many people are doing it these days. But I think it's a lost art, because printing is actually an art form itself. Depending on what sort of lab you're using. If you're using professional lab, it can be very, very interesting and to see, because a good printer can really transform your images. And I'm telling you, that is from my own experience as a professional photographer, a good printer can really transform your images. They will understand the paper type, for instance, and they understand the resolution, they understand actual sharpness configured for printing, not sharpness configured for screen viewing, which is very, very different thing. So you just have to understand that, if you are really into printing, that's something you should be appreciating, a good printer. Okay, let's continue doing a little bit resolution hype. Yeah, you may be right there. It may be for commercial reasons, because these days a lot of people are just looking at numbers and numbers alone. So they just talk, thinking about, yeah, the bigger the number is better, right? I can shoot ISO 3 million. I can see in the dark. And I have 100 megapixel. I can crop the hell out. I can see the entire moon. I can see each individual rocks on the moon. You see what I mean? Like, bigger the number is better. Not necessarily. Like I already mentioned, it depends whether you need it or not. If you're just posting that photos on the bloody Facebook, what the hell are you talking about? Having a 100 megapixel camera, and it just doesn't make sense. So I'm not saying it's not usable. It's obviously for some people, for commercial people who will need to print billboards and things like that. Yes, there are usage for it, but not for everybody. So don't blindly follow what the marketing people tell you. Assess what you need as a photographer. I think that's the key, right? You agree with me? I think that you need to understand what you shoot and ultimately where you display your work. I don't think there's a right or wrong answers there. It just depends on what you need your camera for, and ultimately where you're showing your work, and that's the main thing right here. So David, yeah, I think I remember reading something like that. Canon really used to say that the articulating screen is one reason they're not doing it because of weather seal. Funny enough that you mentioned that, because I told you, some of you guys might have heard me saying a few times already that my old Canon camera actually failed because it rained too hard and then my camera failed to function. And that was a weather seal camera. And I have a fully articulated EM1X and EM1 Mark III and all the other cameras here. They're also weather seal and all have articulated screen. They actually didn't even fail in the same situation many times. And so I think that claim was definitely wrong these days. And yeah, David, you're right there. I really remember Canon saying that. And so I think they kind of shot themselves in the foot in a way. And now they prove it that weather seal can be used in all sorts of things, depending whether you have the will to design something. Okay, let's see here. And Camille has a point here, and I know he's no one actually knows, and obviously that we don't have the exact higher resolution sensors in the Micro Four Third thing, whether any of the lenses that we currently have in the Micro Four Third realms, whether it's Panasonic, Sigma, or any other manufacturers, any of these lenses actually can outperform the 20 megapixel sensor. I'm pretty certain some of the lenses actually over, because you can tell from the sharpness alone is actually just kind of amazing. But how much more you can out-resolve the current 20 megapixel limit, I'm not entirely sure. That would have to be wait and see. And that probably another reason why a lot of the Micro Four Third cameras are not kind of rushing to jumping to a high res mode or high res sensor, because of that very reason. Because if you have suddenly bump up to 30 megapixel sensor, a lot of the current lenses may not be able to perform to that level. And that's a problem for not just Olympus, but Panasonic, Sigma, all the other people who are making lenses for Micro Four Third, because a lot of the lenses are not cater for that sort of resolution. So remember what I told you about the optics on the Micro Four Third is actually way superior compared to full frame lenses. And that's the reason, because they really very, very high accuracies and also detail in the actual optical design to perform the best at the Micro Four Third platform. So having a much higher resolution, which means that you need almost a microscopic level of accuracy for not only for design but also for manufacturing, to make sure the lens can actually resolve to that sort of resolution. This is something out of this world. So maybe very soon we will see that. And I'm pretty sure that Olympus and all the R&D departments are actually working hard on that now. And because they will, I strongly believe that they will have to upgrade their current lineup for lenses to make sure that it will perform to that level and ultimately can use a high resolution sensors. So that will be something to look forward to. I still think this thing would definitely outperform it. Yes, this thing would definitely outperform 20 megapixel. I'm banking on this thing, so just give it to me. Just give it to me. I just want to leg this thing. I'm doing it right. I'm doing it wrong here. Oh dear, I like that lens. Okay, oh, Vicky's here. Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Excellent. Hi there. And yes. Okay, I'm just seeing Vicky trying to have a comment here. Yeah, you and Amazon lost your what? Oh no, dear me, really? Oh dear. Oh, I hope you get it sorted soon. And well, relax it. It's a brilliant weekend, looks like, coming ahead. We've got brilliant weather in the UK. It's really super sunny out there. It's super hot today. Like I mentioned, I'm using a fan that's currently blowing up my face at the moment. Just so hot here. And yeah, that's something that you know, telling us summer is coming. I do really hope that we have a normal summer, but unfortunately I don't think this will be a normal summer because of whatever's happening at the moment, and we shall see. Okay, let's see what else here. And I'm nearly reaching the end of the comment section. That's cool. I finally caught up with everything. And what is the mode? What is the best adapter for other lenses? Right. That's an interesting question because I don't know what other lenses you have. if you are talking about AF lenses, and I think currently the best adapter for AF compatible lenses, it would be Metabone. You know, I think they are probably the only high-end adapters that enable you to electronically communicate to other brands of AF enabled lenses, if I can say it like that. So for manual though, for manual lenses, you know, your choice is huge. You know, you have a lot of lenses out. I mean, Kenro and all the other stuff, they produce relatively solid adapters for manual lenses. So you can use any of them. I don't think you will go wrong with any of some. You just have to go through the review to see whether other people are saying, oh, this is wobbly and things like that. But most cases, you should be able to get a decent adapter for relatively cheap price. But for AF lenses, I guess Metabone is probably, if I am going to buy one, I will buy from Metabone for sure. And let's see. Steve is talking about mic jack on the pen PL line. Oh, right, okay. Right, that, I mean, just go back to the EM5 Mark III kind of argument in a way, like the EM10 also doesn't have a mic jack. That may change, I'm not entirely sure, because the vlogging community, the live stream community is actually booming because of the pandemic. So you may think the next generations could produce with the mic jack actually incorporated into the body. We may see that. I'm hoping that they will, because that will completely open up a new generation of creators out there. So that could be something quite interesting to see. Never say never. At the moment, I don't see it happening in even the next EPL 11 now. I think 10 is the latest one. So 11 or the EM10 Mark IV, it may not have a microphone jack, but don't quote me on that. I'm just only speculating. But in the following edition, that might change, because you know, unfortunately, I think a lot of camera companies are very slow at reacting to the current demand. Because let's say the R&D that you see on the upcoming camera. So, for example, if the EM10 Mark IV is coming out, let's say this summer, for instance, the R&D would have completed a year and a half ago, maybe even 2 years ago. So they need to allowing the manufacturing to have the right tooling and everything to manufacture the cameras. So things already been done 2 years ago. So so a lot of the things that we are seeing at the moment would be implemented in 2 years' time. So that would mean that you won't see until the EM10 Mark V. And yeah, but that's the unfortunate fact of not just Olympus, but anybody else out there at the moment. So it's quite hard to predict what's coming and what's needed and what's popular in the future. And they can only work on whatever they believe in the advancement of photography and what sort of features they would need in future terms. But I'm pretty sure they are taking notes constantly and feeding them back to the R&D department. And hopefully some will get fast track into, you know, into becoming a reality. I do hope that that will be the case, and that will be really cool. So let's see that. Camille also talked about here the ISO and also the implementation of astrophotography. Right, I spoke to a Taiwanese gentleman and last year at the TPS. He's a very technical. He's actually a professor from a university, and he actually now owns a optical filter manufacturer companies in Taiwan. He makes for filters for a lot of different companies, including Olympus, for astrophotography. He actually gave me a very detailed analysis about the actual Olympus sensor has a higher sensitivity to certain spectrum of lights, and that would make the EM1 Mark II, Mark III, and the EM1X a better camera for taking astrophotography. And it's all because of, you know, what he said to me technically is actually better for capturing certain light spectrum that is not visible to eye. So you know, I have to take his word for it, because he has all these technical spec sheets, and he even showed me the graph about the different sensors performances. So it's interesting to learn about it. I mean, I didn't understand a word what he was saying, but if he says better and showing me the graph, I just believe his words, right? So so yes, I think you're quite right there. And then the Olympus in general, the sensors are actually better for astrophotography, full stop, because of the ability of absorbing those invisible light spectrum. So he tells me. So yeah, it's actually pretty true. It's pretty true. It's been proven by this professor from Taiwan. Jan Garcia, hello, how are you? I'm well, thank you. And right, let's say, last time I told you about the 45 to 200 f4, you said it would be big. I'm not sure Panasonic 45 to 200 f2.4 is quite compact. Right, it really depends on whether how Olympus is going to construct the lens, and that's a fact. Because if you look at Panasonic's the 12 to 35 f2.8 compared to the 12 to 42.8 on the Olympus is bigger, and only because the constructions, I believe, and so it's gonna be really hard to tell. They may try to make it as compact as the Panasonic version, you know, but I'm not entirely sure how rugged they want to make it. Don't forget, it's all to do with how much weather seal, how rugged they want to make the lens to be. And if they want it to be super rugged that you cannot destroy it, it will be huge. But obviously I haven't seen it. I don't know much about it at this moment in time. And I will be hard to speculate about what sort of sizes it will come up to eventually. But yeah, we will see. We will see. I think it will be interesting to see the 45 to 200 whether it will be huge or not if it ever comes out. Okay, let's see then. And multiple exposure. Ooh, you finally have some feature comments here now. Multiple exposure is actually pretty cool, and I think especially you can do it in camera. Especially what happened, I think last week. I think one of our colleagues in the Olympus office colleagues called Claire Harvey May. She actually did a live videos talk about multi-exposure. She showed some examples of what she did in camera, which is fantastic. This is something you can also explore, so you can do something crazy and creative with multiple exposure. Very cool. Right, finally, last two comments, and now I'm ending my thing. And right, Ralph, you need to go. Thank you, and thank you again for joining me. And yeah, Ralph has been really good and has been supporting me in the morning as well. I've seen him in my morning live stream on Facebook, so he's a very good supporter. And thank you for coming and join me here. So, and let's see, anything else? And Rob would like to see Kimmy coming back. Me too. Me too. I would like Kimmy to come back. He will come back. I guarantee that he will come back. And as soon as I can get out, can do something creative, I'll bring him back. Okay. And let's see now. Rick Bear. Oh, Rick Bear. How are you? I'm good. And it's nice to see you back here. Professional printing service. If you or people can get big enough group together, we're happy to give demonstration. What? Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, Rick Bear, I hold your word for it. You know, if I ever need something demo, you're there for me. Great, excellent. Because yes, when I ran a workshop a couple of years ago for Olympus, we actually have a couple of printers there. They just show people what they can print professionally, what sort of thing they can achieve. It's actually very cool. And you will have to see, if you haven't seen a professional print before, trust me, it will blow your mind. That's it, I say enough. Softly, that will be enough for generate enough interest, because you know, you really have to see it to believe it. You know, professional printing is so different to high street printing or even home printing. It's very different. Well, unless you are a professional printer yourself, but then it's very different. And okay, right. I think that's more or less it, guys. Excellent. Right, I've made it to the end of the comment section, at least for now. And let's see anything else here. Just one last comment from Camille, and you said no headphone jack is not a problem because you can sync the audio in post. Yes, especially you have the LP series, the LSP series, the P1 or the P4, because the latest firmware allow you to have this digital clap thing, which is like a beep noise between the cameras, so you can actually use it to sync it in post very easily. But if even not, you can use the old menu method, just do a big clap, so you can see the motion, and you can sync the voice in post production. Very straightforward, very easy. Okay, finally, and there's another one. Let's answer this one as well. You would like to see the 40 to 150 2.8 with an IS. Me too. But it will make it a little bit bigger. I quite like the size as of now, and the the image stabilization on the in1 bodies are already good enough for this particular lens, so I don't see the need for the IS, but of course if you do have one, it will be even better. So that's it, guys. This is the end of the stream. Yes, I've made it through to the end. Thank you very much for joining me, and thank you once again for all the support. And very cool to have seen you guys all here and supporting me. That is very good. I'm losing my voice once again, and so next week we're going to have a brand new topic. Don't forget to stay tuned for my YouTube community page. I will be posting my next topic, and hopefully all of you guys will come back again and to talk to me and to express your view on photography, filmmaking, and Olympus stuff. So thank you, and don't forget that I'm actually live on Facebook as well between Monday to Friday, 11 to 11:30 a.m. GMT London time, and I also have my coffee link here, as you can support me, buy me coffee, so it can buy me enough money to buy the big piece of lens that I really want and wish I... Yeah, I'm gonna show that one more time. I just love it. Here we go. That's my lens. And yeah, thank you very much for that. And so I would like to see you guys next week. Yeah, if not, I will see you guys tomorrow on tomorrow is Thursday, so 2 more streams for this week, and I'm going to talk about something really cool, because I forgot about showing you guys this. Yes, tomorrow I'm going to talk about the wireless transmitter on Facebook, so I'm looking forward to see you guys there. And also about Friday on my Facebook, I'm going to talk about my favorite photographers who inspire me to do a lot of my current photography. And next week, of course, we're going to have something new about Photography 101 Live. I'm going to talk about something completely different. So let's see what I come up with, and you will be the judge of it. So until next time, I shall see you all soon, and you have a great day, have a great weekend, and also, you know, enjoy wherever you are. I know it's a difficult time at the moment, but we're all in this together, and stay safe and be healthy. I'll see you all very, very soon. Bye for now.